school district in Texas is on the hot seat because of offensive awards that were given out to Black and Hispanic students. Sydney Caesar, an African-American student at Anthony Aguirre Junior High School in suburban Houston, was given a most likely to blend in with white people award by her college prep teacher, Stacy Lockett. Caesar's family said she was very upset about the so-called award. But this was not the first incident of this type at the teenager's school. Just days earlier, the same teacher gave Lisa Villanova, a Hispanic student, a most likely to become a terrorist award. In response to the incidents, the Channelview Independent School District issued a statement that said, in part, in quote, "The Channelview Independent School District would like to emphasize that a recent incident where insensitive and offensive mock awards presented to students are in no way associated with the Avid College Readiness System or the Avid Center. Channelview ISD does not support this type of recognition under any circumstances, and the placement of the Avid logo on these certificates was an error. At no time was the Avid program itself involved in this unfortunate incident." The teacher, Stacy Lockett, has been suspended for the remainder of the school year. What's that, like 2 days? But Sydney Caesar's mother says she wants the Channelview Independent School District to take additional action. So still on our panel is Ron Busby as well as Brandon Cooper. Oh my goodness, can you believe that this school gave these, this teacher gave these awards? What in the world do you think Brandon made her think that was okay?
I don't know, the larger issue of, acting white, I think that's something that we as our culture, sometimes when you study hard or do good education,
I don't
you're
buy
taught.
that.
No, it is, no, that is, you ever experienced people say you act white, you sound white? You never heard that before?
No.
You never heard that?
I really think I've heard people say that.
They do say that.
I'll be honest, I have heard people.
And that's not right.
No, let me say this.
Yeah.
I've heard people complain about that.
I've heard it.
I have never personally experienced it because I happen to know Black history and I happen to know that we are among the smartest people on earth.
I agree with
so
you.
to me, to equate intelligence and articulates and to be articulate with being white is completely ignorant.
I agree
I
with
don't
you.
I don't like to push that stereotype.
That's the whole thing that they're saying, that they do that, oh, you blend in with white stuff. Even Joe Biden said it about Obama. He said the reason that Obama got elected because he was an articulate African-American who did not have a Negro dialect. So you can say that you don't experience it, but that is something that we deal with, and I agree with you, it's wrong, and stuff like this. So I don't know why she said it. They said last week, or yesterday or last weekend, the most likely to receive a terrorist award. And so these are examples of, again, I don't know what they think and they're doing. Let's see what happens to her. Hopefully she gets more punishment.
I hope so too.
But that narrative, like I agree with you, is not right. It should not be that most likely blending white people.
I know, that's ridiculous. Yeah. So, Rod, do you think that this is another sort of trickle-down effect of a toxic environment that we're experiencing under this presidency, where people just feel like they can just say and do anything to people of color?
Yeah, I think this administration has really taken the veil off of racism, and I think now you're seeing it in independent public schools. This isn't a charter school or a private school. This is a teacher that taxpayers' dollars are paying her salary. And for her to come in and make those types of statements to students that are there to get a good education, both of these students that we're talking about were exceeding in their classwork. They weren't underprivileged, they weren't underperforming. These were both outstanding students with good records that have now faced racism in their face in front of their classmates, as well as their parents and peers. They had nothing to do with this. To say that I'm acting white or I'm most likely to become a terrorist is spoken from a white privilege standpoint that I can determine what your future is going to be. So many black people in history have found out that you can't overcome your race. We were told very early, well, you should become a lawn maker, you should become a janitor, as opposed to giving us the opportunity. Now you have two students that are doing their best at where they are in life. And once again, in 2017, you have teachers right before they're getting ready to graduate to go off to their next class year have to face this type of racism. I do believe that it trickles down from our president all the way down to our public school systems and the teachers that are given the authority to be able to say this. And we have not talked anything about what the outcome of this teacher is. This isn't her first time doing this, and for her to continue to be able to be employed, to me, is where the real question starts to come into play.
And to that point, we talked about on the show before, police unions have the issue where they protect their own. It's hard to get rid of them. The same thing exists in teachers union as well. In our county, Prince George's County, earlier this year, like the Washington Post reported, over 300 teachers are on paid leave right now for misconduct. they need to be fired.
Yeah.
But oftentimes in the contracts, you can look at it, it's hard. There's a long process that goes through to get rid of them. So we'll see how long. You say she's done this before in that teacher. Yeah. Why is she allowed to do it a second time? You know, it needs to be a lot easier to get rid of these teachers who and police officers who do misconduct in office. Absolutely.
And you know, it's just, when you sort of tie together all these different incidents, you have the Bowie State student murdered by a Maryland, clearly white supremacist, and I'm a Maryland alum, and it's just been disturbing for me to see all of the different incidents that's been happening on that campus, to have that escalate to this. And this is something, quite frankly, that you know, he who shall not be named, did not even mention, for example, in his tweet. He didn't mention that. And so, to me, it's part of a broader sort of infusion of our culture. What do you think needs to happen now, though, to turn the page? Is there anything that the people can do to sort of stop this sort of devolution that we're seeing in our society as it relates to racism?
I think what you saw in Texas was a good example. There are signs and posters read, "You'll see us at the polls." And I think as Americans get fed up with what's going on in this administration, it's not just here in Washington, D.C., but these cases are taking place across the country. And I think racism now is rampant across the country. And I think as we, as voters, as citizens, can now take this seriously. I think a lot of us took for granted that we had a new era in America and that we were post-racism. Yes. I think this is really the fact that now everyone is seeing it, not just Hispanics, not just African Americans, not just Muslims, but as Americans, we are seeing where this country could go if we don't do something about it very seriously.
Absolutely. I think it's truly time to take our country back.
A peaceful protest turned deadly. 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Baton Rouge police. His hands are in the air, and you still get shot by the cops.
Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
We're not gonna let hate define us.
Race is a big part of this.
If truly all lives matter, then all lives need to matter equally. What we require is action. What we require is accountability. We understand that black lives do matter, and we will keep focused on this issue.
News 1 Now, every weekday morning at 7 on TV 1.